Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for your weekly wrap-up, and I want to begin first, as I always do, by thanking our newest Patreon supporters. We have Christopher Anderson, Fernando Torres, and Joseph Arner, who upgraded his contribution to the channel. We also have something new to talk about this week, which is YouTube Super Chat. So what I did over the weekend was I just went up with a live random stream that I do from time to time, and I didn't realize this, but YouTube has put together something new called Super Chat, and it was enabled in my thing the other day, and what do you know? We got a bunch of people who contributed just voluntarily to the channel during the chat. So I want to thank Nicholas Cheney, Kevin Bragdon, Eric Myers, the Speech Improvement Company Incorporated, Lauren Kuntz, Robert Spangle, Foreverman, and Hey Dave White. If I missed you, please email me, but this was the list that YouTube sent over after that stream was over with. I will talk more about live streams a little bit later in the wrap-up here, but I want to thank everyone who contributed this week. It's greatly appreciated, and remember, viewership is also very important to this channel, so if you can't afford to contribute, don't worry, because I really value all the subscribers and the views that we get here on the channel, because those things really help my search position, which is what drives a lot more people into the channel to see my reviews and other tech content. So I want to thank everyone for everything that you're doing, and it's been a lot of fun getting to where we are now, and I'm looking forward to having some more time in the coming weeks to devote to the channel and be doing more things like live streams and just more content in the weeks and months ahead. So stay tuned, always more to talk about. Speaking of more, I have my extras channel humming away this week, so I got a bunch of stuff up there. We uploaded the latest SpaceX landing, which happened over the weekend. SpaceX sent a rocket to the International Space Station, and then the other part of the rocket, the lower portion, the first stage, came back to Earth and landed at Cape Canaveral, and it was a great video that SpaceX beamed down live from that rocket, which I put up on the extras channel. It's amazing to me how many people come out of the woodwork who say this is all fake, including one guy who said, how come they don't do this in public? And I responded, you know what, go down to Florida like I do and watch it. It happens. It's real. But it's amazing to me how people think all this space stuff is fake. We also had 2 unboxings of 2 different routers, one from Synology and Linksys. I also got in some new cores electronically for the Analog NT Mini. That was that high-end Nintendo console that I reviewed about 2 weeks ago. They've added additional systems to that system, so now it can play Game Boy and Game Boy Color in addition to all the other systems that I covered in the review. You can see some gameplay footage of that. And then I also uploaded a snippet from last week's wrap-up that I thought was relevant for search. Now on the main channel, we looked at the Live Channels DVR function, which has now been added to Android TV devices running 7.0 Nougat. So if you have a Mi box, it's not yet on Android 7, this won't work with it, but the NVIDIA Shield TV Pro or an NVIDIA Shield with external storage will work with it. You can check out my review to get more information on that. You get a channel guide and the ability to record stuff with your Android TV box, all in one unit. Pretty cool stuff. We looked at the new Lenovo IdeaPad 510S. Has the new Kaby Lake processor, and it also has a pretty low-powered AMD GPU, and in some cases, the Kaby Lake graphics were faster than the AMD graphics were on this laptop, but you can see the full review linked down below in the master playlist. We had 2 routers this week, the Linksys Velup, which is another one of those mesh systems, and we also got in the Monster Synology RT2600AC, which was an excellent router with the best interface in the business. Definitely check it out if you are in the market for a new router and like to tweak things more than one of these mesh systems let you do. So cool stuff on that front. So now it's time for a couple of things that are on my mind, and I want to begin first with live streams. You can see all the live streams that I've done in the last year or two over at Lon.TV/livestreams. So if you ever miss one and see the notification and then it's gone, if you go to that link, you'll be able to find them all. I don't usually have them go into the subscriber feed just because I don't want to mess up everybody's inboxes with, I don't consider it junk content, but I like to have my stuff be more edited and concise, and my live streams tend to just go on for a while, so I like to separate those out. So you can find those on that link right there. Now, there is a way to be notified of all the stuff that I upload. You've probably seen other YouTubers talk about that, and that involves that little bell you just saw the arrow point under. If you click on that, you'll be brought to a screen that looks like this, and if you check on that box that says send me all notifications for this channel, you can get a push notification to your app, or you can also have it email you if you set up your settings that way to get a notification every time I go live or every time I upload something. You'll get a notification. I'm considering also putting together my own email list that does that. So if you're interested in a list that will notify you on a daily basis of all my new content, let me know down in the comments section, and I will take a look at doing that for you. I also wanted to show you on Facebook, there's a similar function here too, where if you go over to that following link on my Facebook page and check off the see first check mark there, every time I post something to the Facebook page, you'll see that on Facebook right when you log in. So sometimes, of course, Facebook doesn't always put stuff in front of you because they want me to pay to put it in front of you. But if you want to get around that, you can tell Facebook that you always want to see my stuff first, and it will put that right in the spot there for you. Now, I'm bringing back this slide from last week when I was talking about unlimited mobile data on Verizon here in the United States. Guess what? Competition has an impact because now AT&T is offering unlimited data for all customers, and they were able to do that overnight. Isn't that amazing when competition works? So this is why I would love to see more competition for residential broadband. Easier to say than it is to implement, but this is an example of why competition is healthy for consumers. These companies hate it, but guess what? They actually do the right thing for consumers when they have competition. And you can see here where we went from very limited data caps to now essentially unlimited data caps on mobile almost overnight because one company decided to try to make some more money. So cool stuff. Good to see this happening, and I hope this stays as a policy from here on out. I also wanted to bring up a topic we talked about last week regarding smart TVs and how they tend to lose things over time. Here's a great example of that. So PlayStation Now has worked on a lot of smart TVs from Sony. I think Samsung has some TVs that have it also, and basically those let you stream PS3 games from Sony on your smart television. You hook up a PS3 controller via Bluetooth, and you can log in and pay your monthly fee and play some games. So they're now turning that feature off on those Samsung TVs as well as Sony Blu-ray players and all of their smart televisions. And it's only going to work on, I believe, PS4 and PS3. Actually, it's not even going to work on the PS3 anymore. They're turning it off on everything but the PlayStation 4 and PC moving forward. So you can see this is a great example of when you buy that TV, it does certain things and then those things tend to go away. So the TV still works maybe 5 years later, but all the smart functions don't. And that is just one of the realities we live with these days in the modern age. And now it's time for some Q&A, and I've got a great one here from Chilled Axe to the Max, who bought a Slate 7 Extreme Android tablet and discovered that it has a cancer warning on it, and it kind of worries him. It makes him not want to use it. And there's a reason for that cancer warning, and let me go into it. So basically, in a nutshell, this is a legal public extortion racket in the state of California, and I'm going to explain why I think that is. Now, there's a law in California called Proposition 65. It's a ballot initiative that passed in the 80s, and in California, if you can get a lot of voters together, you can sign a petition and get a proposed law to be placed on the election ballot. So when people go in to vote for governor and senator and everything else, they can decide to vote to approve one of these ballot initiatives to become law, basically bypassing the legislature and the governor in the process. And one of these ballot initiatives was an effort to try to make sure that the California water supply stays clean by banning chemicals in certain products so that those products won't get thrown out eventually and then have those chemicals leach into the water supply and make people sick. And it's a very good-hearted kind of bill that you want to see there because nobody's against clean water. The problem is that many of these ballot initiatives are often put forward by special interests because it's very expensive to get all these people to sign these things to get them on the ballot in the first place. And oftentimes people with money can afford to do that. And the only reason why you might want to spend so much money to do something like that is because you might be able to profit from it later. And that is exactly what is happening here. So what happens in California is that they have a committee that goes around and looks for items that or chemicals that might cause cancer and then puts them on a banned list. And if that chemical is on the banned list and you make a product with that chemical in it, if you don't put a warning label on your product, then you can get sued, not by the state, but by private attorneys who are allowed under this law to basically enforce the law on behalf of the state. And you can imagine the mess that this creates. Let me show you an example involving Hewlett-Packard from 2012. So they had a product that must have had something in its plastic that was part of this banned list of chemicals from California, and they had to pay a settlement of $100,000, $35,000 to the state, and then $65,000 to the attorney, because part of the law allows for reasonable attorney fees to be extracted from this enforcement action that they're taking on behalf of the state. And it's become a total free-for-all. So whenever California puts one of these chemicals on there, everybody's got to scramble to reformulate, get rid of all those products that are already in place in California California, because if anything, even one laptop shows up on a shelf somewhere, and it can be anywhere, it could even be at a liquidator, sold 3 or 4 times down the chain. If any one of those products gets picked up by one of these attorneys and they get tested and it has the chemical and it doesn't have a warning sticker, you will get sued. And the way they engineered this thing is that you have 60 days to respond to the complaint before the lawsuit gets filed. And within that period of time, if you're a big company like Hewlett-Packard, it's a heck of a lot easier to spend $100,000 to settle the case and put a sticker on all your products and keep making it with the same chemical than it is to go out and fight this, because the burden of proof is on the manufacturer to prove that, yes, my product has this chemical that you decided causes cancer, but my product necessarily doesn't cause cancer. But you have to prove that, and the only way to prove it is to spend a lot of money to go out and hire your own laboratory. They have to go buy lab rats to lick or eat or whatever they want to do to your product, and you have to then prove that these rats didn't get cancer, and then you have to go to court to make that proof known to the world, and it costs a lot of money to do that. So if you can settle the case for $100,000, why not do it? The problem with this law is that a lot of other small companies get caught up in the mix and end up paying pretty large extortion fees to these attorneys. Take a look at some of the other cases on this list here. We've got the Franco-American Novelty Company there, $26,500. They paid $4,000 to the state, $22,000 to the attorney that sued them, not counting what they had to pay for defense costs for hiring their own attorney. So you can see just how much money gets made from this proposition. And the worst part is that if you put this sticker, let me show you what one of these looks like. If you put this sticker on your product, you won't get sued, because this basically inoculates you from any kind of liability. So it doesn't actually get the chemicals out of the products, it just gets you out of trouble from getting sued. And really the intention of the law here was to keep these chemicals out of things in the first place. But if all it takes is a sticker, it shows you how useless this law is. And the reason why it doesn't change is that people are making money. The attorneys that defend these cases are making money, and the attorneys that are suing for these chemical violations, quote unquote, are also making money also. In the end of the day, we pay for it by having products that cost a lot more money or have to be reformulated constantly, even when those products don't cause cancer. So that is what you've got on your box there. I don't think your tablet causes cancer, but I'm not a doctor, but I think we can be safe in that assumption that you can use your tablet without any worries, and just be very careful what you sell into California, because you never know when you might get one of these 60-day notices in the mail. Just be warned. And I got this message in from Louis Anthony Martinez, who's curious about wireless coverage in all the different routers that I review. And I talk very broadly often about the range of these devices. I found generally in my house, they all tend to be about the same. And the reason is that the FCC actually mandates, the Federal Communication Commission here in the US, how much power can come out of these devices in the first place. So the laws of physics dictate, unless the antennas are largely different, they should perform roughly the same depending on where you go with them. And the other problem in saying that the range is good or bad on a product is that everyone's environment is different. So you have things in your walls that absorb radio frequencies. You have other neighbors using other Wi-Fi devices that might cause some interference and reduce performance and impact range, for example. So there's so many factors that go in. So what I've been doing is basically setting up the routers that I test in the same spot whenever I test them to at least see how they work in my house. But everyone's individual experiences with Wi-Fi are going to be different. So this is a very hard thing to rate. And I think you should be very careful when you look at reviews when a reviewer says, oh, it has the best range ever. It might have the best range ever for their home, but it might not be the case in yours. This is a really tough thing to review and give you a definitive answer on. So when you see me talk about range, I'm going to talk about how well it does in my house being placed in the same spot all the time compared to other products. But again, your mileage will always vary. And Dwayne J. wrote in with something called the Caavo. He saw it on Walt Mossberg's Facebook page over the weekend, as I did as well, which he was gushing about. And this is what it looks like. It's a streaming media box of boxes. That's my word for it. It's a very attractive product here, $400 though. And what you do is that you plug in the boxes you already have into it, and then you have the Caavo go out and find the content that you want to watch. Because as you all know, I've been very frustrated with the fact that even though the guts of all of our streaming media boxes are largely the same, they don't play the same content because of all these stupid licensing disputes that the studios and these distributors get into with each other. So a great example is the Apple TV. You can watch a lot of stuff on the Apple TV, but no Amazon Video. Likewise, you can't watch iTunes content on anything else but an Apple TV or an iPad or something along those lines. And it's just stupid because this is not a VHS versus beta thing like it was in the 80s where you had largely different hardware. The guts of our hardware is all encoding and decoding video exactly the same way. It's humans that are choosing not to make it available to you. So the solution, I guess, is to spend $400 on a box that will consolidate all of that for you. I cannot see this becoming a mass market item. I think people who have the money for this kind of thing will love it, but for me, I think this is just a sign of just how sad this industry is right now, that you just can't buy a box that plays everything, and that's what I would like to see. Then they wonder why people pirate content, right? So, but you got your option here. It's pretty smart. It's pretty cool how it works. It actually goes out to the box and operates it like a human would. So if you ask for something on Netflix, it actually goes into your Apple TV and navigates the menus on its own and then pulls up the content that you want to watch. But for me, I don't think it's worth it. I'll just hit the input switch on my TV. And now it's time for a Q&A for you. I'm just curious how many boxes you own, and did you have to buy any boxes to be able to watch some of the content that you own? Because I have an Apple TV for that reason. I have some content I bought a while ago that I want to watch every once in a while, and that's why I keep an Apple TV around just to tune into that stuff. I'm very pleased to see that Amazon Video has started popping up on the NVIDIA Shield TV boxes, which was a great development. So that eliminated the need to get an additional box to watch some of the Amazon stuff that I have access to, but still, it's been quite aggravating to navigate these waters. I'm just curious what your experiences have been, so let me know down in the comment section below. And I wanted to also tell you about my channel of the week. This is the 8-bit guy. I've been watching his stuff for quite a while. He just went full time with his channel, and what's so cool about what he does is he looks at old technology and talks about how it works in a very explainable way. He doesn't go into the weeds too much, and you really get a good feel as to how all of this stuff works. Really nice overview. He's very good at explaining things and just seems like another nice person on YouTube to watch. So if you haven't checked out the 8-bit guy, definitely check him out. You probably saw his overview as to how 8-bit graphics worked on old computers. That one went viral on Reddit, so you may have encountered his content before, but he's got a lot of great stuff. This is one of those channels that once I discovered it, I spent a lot of time digging through his back catalog. So if you are a fan of old retro stuff as I am, cool stuff, definitely worth checking out. So this week, I've got a bunch of stuff. If you go on the Extras channel, you'll see me unboxing this. This is the brand new Dell inexpensive gaming laptop. This is their $800 7000 series. It's got a Kaby Lake processor, and it has an NVIDIA 1050 GPU with 4 gigs of RAM on board. Not the TI, just the regular 1050. As you all know, I like to buy the low end of everything just to see how it performs, and we'll be putting that one through its paces. That will probably be up maybe Tuesday or Wednesday evening. That Lenovo box you saw is another Kaby Lake powered device, a small form factor Yoga. So we'll be looking at that one. I've got a low-cost Thunderbolt dock from CalDigit coming up this week, and a bunch of other stuff too. There's as much time as I can devote. I will be cranking out product reviews this week, so stay tuned for all of that. Now, if you want to help the channel, you can go to Lon.TV/Patreon and make a monthly contribution to the channel. I also had to get rid of fan funding because YouTube got rid of it. So I have a tip jar set up on my Square store at Lon.TV/tipjar. So if you want to make a one-time contribution, you can do that over there. So there is an option for that. If you want to sign up for a Plex account with no credit card required, I get a small commission over at Lon.TV/Plex, or you can gift a Plex pass to somebody at Lon.TV/PlexGift. So definitely check that out. If you want to engage with the channel, we've got the Extras channel at Lon.TV/Extras, my email list at Lon.TV/email, our Facebook page, and the store where I list the things or sell the things that I once reviewed and are now done with them. So a lot of stuff got cleared out in the last 2 weeks, but more will be coming up. I'll be selling that Dell laptop on there for a discount when I'm done reviewing it. So always be on the lookout for new things showing up in the store. And that will do it for this week's weekly wrap-up. I want to thank all of you for your continued support of what I'm doing here, because it would not be possible without your support. The fact that people watch is how I'm able to keep doing this, and that is what makes the difference, in addition to everyone who contributes via the Patreon and the fan funding and the Super Chat and everything else. So I do want to let you know that although I can never respond to every single comment I get here on the channel, I try to respond to as many as I can, and I read them all. And I really want to tell you that I value what you're putting into the channel, because I value how important your time is, and I really appreciate that you spend some of your time with me, because I really enjoy doing this, and I really enjoy sharing what I find of interest with the world, and I'm glad there's an audience for it. So we'll be back next week with more cool stuff, and this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching. This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.